Most people think you need the cloud to run AI agents. What if I told you that's not true? In many companies, external APIs like ChatGPT are completely off limits. Security policies, compliance rules, or even air-gapped environments make cloud-based AI a no-go. That usually means no automation, no intelligent agents, and no way to bring AI into your platform engineering workflows unless you build everything from scratch. But there's a new option, KAgent, an open source framework that lets you deploy and run AI agents entirely inside Kubernetes, on-prem, offline, and fully under your control. Stick around because I'll show you how you can spin up your own internal AI agents, customize them for your team, and unlock new automation in a way that's policy friendly. Let's jump right in. All right, so if you go and look for KAgent, you'll find that there's their website. So open that in a new tab, and here is the GitHub repo. And if we go to the website, you can see bringing agentic AI to cloud native. It's an open source set of tools for DevOps and platform engineers to build, deploy, and run AI-powered solutions in Kubernetes, from intelligent agents to MCP servers. So you can see here their framework. They have a dashboard, CLI, controller, an ADK, a bunch of agents, and a bunch of tools on top of that. They actually have two projects, KAgent, which is what we're focused on, and also KMCP and MCP Kubernetes Toolkit. Why choose our projects? Open standards, so they support agent-to-agent protocol, agent development kit, ADK, and model context protocol, MCP. They're cloud native ready, designed for Kubernetes from day one. Pretty cool. Observability, gain full visibility into AI agent operations. Some challenges that they solve: automated operations, connection issues, so you can pinpoint broken links, performance analysis, diagnose and fix application performance, traffic configuration, troubleshoot gateway, HTTP route issues, and so on. Looks like they have a Discord and a GitHub, of course, the repo. Why use our projects? And you can see, of course, solo.io, it was behind it, and they've donated this to the CNCF. So if you search KAgent CNCF, you can see here, KAgent is an open source programming framework designed for DevOps and platform engineers to run AI agents in Kubernetes. It was accepted to CNCF May 22nd, 2025 as a sandbox. And here is their GitHub repo. So you can see here, it's under KAgent dev, KAgent, and their documentation is also over here. So you can go and take a look at that. And they go through both KAgent and the KMCP. So you can follow along here and take a closer look. But we are going to jump right in and get started with our repo here. Before we jump into the repo, I'd like to thank our sponsor, UpCloud. Right now, they're giving my audience a special deal you don't want to miss. You can get 500 euros or dollars in testing credits when you sign up for a new UpCloud account. These credits are valid for 30 days and let you try out real workloads, not just simple Hello World apps. On top of that, your first payment gets a one-to-one matchup to 100 euros or dollars in extra credits. During the trial, you can spin up servers with up to 16 CPUs, 32 gigs of RAM, and 1 terabyte of storage. Plus, you can set up multiple networks and IPs to really test things out. To grab this offer, sign up at upcloud.com and use the promo code Tekken8500. The deal ends September 30th, 2025. And if you're watching this after that date, don't worry, you can still use Tekken850 for ongoing credits. Big thank you to UpCloud for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to look at our repo. Okay, we're in our repo here, and this is the README, and I have a make file. We have a few commands where we're going to create a kind cluster, and then we're going to install KAgent, and then we're going to deploy the simple agent and then an MCP fetcher. So you can also follow the README over here. Let's take a preview of the README. So KAgent demo starter, this repo is a simple demo for KAgent, and it shows how to run AI agents in Kubernetes and how to add an MCP tool. So first, we got to create a cluster with kind. You can use your Docker desktop or a K3s cluster. Any Kubernetes cluster will do. Then we install KAgent, open the KAgent dashboard, create a simple agent that can use kubectl-like tools, and then add a tiny MCP tool that fetches a web page. The prerequisites are having Docker and Kind. This is, of course, to get Kind to run. It needs to run on Docker, which is Kubernetes in Docker. If you're not familiar with Kind, we need kubectl and Helm and an OpenAI API key, or you can use an Ollama model, but we're just going to use OpenAI. Of course, you need Bash, and we have this demo based on the documentation from KAgent install and their quick start, first agent guide, and the first MCP tool guide. So the first thing we want to do is we want to run make kind up, and this will create a cluster, a kind cluster, and it's going to call it KAgent demo, and the kind cluster name is KAgent demo. So that's going to get created for us. This will take a few minutes, so we'll pause the video and resume once this is complete. Okay, so we have our cluster here. You can run Docker PS. You can see there's a container here, and this is running our cluster. And of course, I can see here the context. So if I run kubectx, I can see that I have my kind cluster, clear, run kubectl, get all, and kubectl, get namespace. You can see that we basically have a regular kind cluster, no namespaces created, nothing created as of yet. Okay, so the next command is make KAgent install, and you can supply the OpenAPI key directly on in the same command like this, or you can just export it, OpenAI API key equals, hit enter, and then supply the make KAgent install command like that. The reason why I like it this way is this way it's an environment variable. I'm not showing you my key, so I've already exported this ahead of the recording. Okay, it requires sudo, so let's go ahead and give it my sudo credentials. Now it's installing a bunch of things here. You can see it's using my OpenAI API key, and it's installing some CRDs in this cluster. It's going to create a KAgent namespace, and it's going to run a bunch of deployments that we'll see how they're being used with KAgent. So we'll give this a couple of minutes and we'll come back when it's ready. Okay, so it completed successfully. Don't worry about this issue with port forwarding. This has to do with me running on WSL2, which is Windows subsystem for Linux. And we will get the dashboard in just a second here. And if you try make dashboard, you're going to get the same problem. So you can just run this command here. And I'm going to run this in a separate tab. So this is port forwarding the KAgent service onto port 8082. And we'll see our dashboard in just a second, but I want to show you what actually got deployed. So kubectl get namespaces. You can see here's our KAgent namespace. So let's change to that namespace. And now we can run kubectl get all, and this will give us all the resources that are inside of this namespace. And you can see some of them not running fully yet. So here we go, bunch of pods. And we'll get to this as we go through. The UI will make a lot more sense. There are a bunch of agents that come out of the box, ready to go. Kubernetes agent. We'll see how that works. And a few services here. Notice on KAgent UI, that's the one we are forwarding our service to. That's where the UI is running on. And of course, this is all deployments, so the replica sets. But there's also some CRDs that got installed as well. So you can see here, agents, MCP servers, memories, model configs, remote MCP servers, tool servers, all these we can leverage. Now let's watch the pods to make sure that they're all running, and they are all running perfect. So now we can go ahead and look at our dashboard. So let's spin that up. Localhost port 8082. There we go. This is running locally on our machine, and we can go through this wizard, or we can skip it. I'm going to just skip it for now and jump straight into our dashboard. So let's make this a bit bigger, but you can see there's our homepage with a bunch of agents right out of the box. Argo rollouts, conversion agent. The Argo rollout conversion agent, AI agent, specializes in converting Kubernetes deployments to Argo rollouts. There is a Cilium debug agent, a manager agent, policy agent, a Helm agent. The Helm Expert AI agent specializes in using Helm for Kubernetes cluster management and operations. There's an Istio agent, Kubernetes agent, which we'll use right now, and the K gateway agent and observability agent, prom QL agent. So if we look at any one of these agents, if you click the pencil icon, you can see the basic information about it, where it's running, its name, where it's running right now in the KAgent, a namespace, agent type, declarative, or bring your own, description for that agent, and agent instructions. So you can see here, these are the instructions that tell the agent how to behave and what to do. We provided a default set of instructions, but you can customize them to your needs. So here we go, Kubernetes AI agent system prompt. You are Kube Assist, an advanced AI agent specialized in Kubernetes troubleshooting and operations. You have deep expertise in Kubernetes architecture and so on, core capabilities, operational guidelines, investigation protocol. So really a lot of great stuff out of the box. You don't have to do a whole lot. Then you can specify what model you want to run with. I'm going to add a new model. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to add Claude Sonnet 4 and use that instead of the OpenAI model that we got out of the box here, which is what we supplied. We supplied our OpenAI API key, if you recall, when we installed KAgent. And these are the tools that are associated with this agent. So you can see a set of tools that are available to this agent to use. Things like query the documentation, Kubernetes check service connection, patch resource, remove annotations, annotate a resource, remove a label, label resources, create a resource, as you can see, delete resource, and so on. So we have a bunch here. We can update this agent if we want to. If you go to view, here's where we saw our agents, but you can also see any models that we have. This is the model that we have out of the box, but I'm going to create a new model. And this one, also make sure it's in the KAgent namespace. And then the providers, there's quite a number of providers here out of the box. Anthropic has Sonnet 3.5, 3.7, Opus 4.1, Opus 4, and Sonnet 4. I'm going to use this one in just a sec. Anthropic, Vertex, Azure, OpenAI, Gemini, Vertex AI. There's some Ollama as well. And of course, OpenAI's models. So if we jump in and create the Claude Sonnet 4, we definitely need to provide an API key here. So we can put it right here. So give me a second to pull that up. All right, I got my key. I'm just going to paste it in here and I'm going to create the model. And now we have an additional model. And if you look at the view and tools, we have a bunch of tools as well that are installed by default, 157 tools. As you can see, you can filter those, of course. You can manage the tool servers, which you can also see from the view tool servers. You can see KAgent Grafana MCP, QueryDoc, KAgent tool server. You can add a server as well, right? And you can see the command executor npx or UVX. And if you're used to creating servers like MCP servers, you'll be very comfortable here. You can use a command, you can use a URL, but we'll move on for now. And we want to actually use an agent. So if you go back to the home page or you go back to the My Agents and you go ahead and click the pencil icon again, I want to change the model to my Sonnet model. And sometimes it doesn't show up right away. You might have to wait a little bit or refresh. I think it takes a bit of time to get deployed. So you got to be a little bit patient here with the models. There we go. So here it is. So Claude Sonnet, and then just update this agent. And now to run the agent, just click on it. And that's it. You have a conversation that you can start. You can say something like, show me or what namespaces do we have in this cluster? Something like that, and send that over. So that will run. You can see some of the arguments here, the results. I can see all my namespaces here and gives you a nice summary based on Sonnet 4, namespaces in your cluster, the default KAgent, and so on. So it's giving you a little bit of a details on each one of those. And you can run anything you want. So show me the pods in my agent namespace, and are they healthy? So once again, it's going to run a few arguments here, and it's going to use the Kubernetes get resources tool, as you can see. And of course, it comes back with all the pods in here, but it will give you a nice summary as well. So you can see pods in this namespace, they're all healthy, great news. Total pods 15, they're all running, pod categories, core system, and so on. So we're interacting right through here through the UI, and there's the option of looking back on different chats, creating a new chat, some agent details on here, the tools that the agent can use. And we can do this as well through the CLI. So when we downloaded KAgent, we downloaded the CLI as well. If we go back into our CLI here and run KAgent, that brings us into a prompt. And if we run help, it's a bit bigger, you can see what commands we have. So we can open the dashboard as we saw before, but this won't work with WSL2, and that's fine. We can install, we can uninstall, we can run. So if you say run, this can run an agent. So just click or type run and then run chat. But you need the agent name, so we can select which agent we're working with, the same agent that we worked from before. And you can see the previous session that we had, so we can continue it or we can create a new session, call it CLI session maybe. And now we're in the CLI session, then we can start asking questions. Let's ask the same questions. What namespaces do we have in this cluster? And you can see some of the answers here. It's not as nice as what we saw in the actual UI. Exit from here and exit again. And then what you can do is you can feed commands that you run into KAgent itself. So what I mean is that you can run KAgent directly here without having to go inside the prompt itself. So you can run KAgent, for example, and then get agents. This will give you all the agents that we have in here. And then you can run something like KAgent invoke -t. And then you got to call on what agent you want to use for that. So -- agent, and then run Kubernetes agent. So here we go. You can see the output. And if we want to clean up the output a little bit, we can maybe pipe that into JQ. And that looks a little bit nicer. So we can see a bit better what this is trying to do here. Anyhow, I think KAgent needs to do a little bit of work on the CLI side to give us a much nicer view. And maybe it works better with the OpenAI API, but we're using Claude Sonnet as we saw. But now let's look at how we can build the actual agent directly using kubectl. So we can go ahead and run this command here, and you can see that this calls on the simple Kubernetes agent here, this manifest. If you take a look at this manifest, you can see that it is using the kind agent from the CRDs we saw, and it's giving it a description of what this agent does. Its type is declarative, what model we're going to use. This is the Anthropic Claude Sonnet 4 model, a system message, and what tools we're going to use. So as you can see, we're actually building everything here in YAML, just as you're used to with Kubernetes, and applying it the same way. We're going to do the same thing with the second piece of our demo as well. Might as well get it running, and then we'll see everything in one place. So we can go ahead and run these two commands, which will basically call upon these two manifests. And these are basically an agent that does a fetch for a website. So this agent can use a single tool to retrieve the contents of a web page and a few things here. And it's using a remote MCP server. And here is the URL for that MCP server. And for this to work, we need another manifest here. And this manifest is running a deployment in the same namespace. And it's running a container, this MCP website fetcher container, and also has a service that is exposed as well. So that is all there. We can quickly take a look and see if our pods are up. Here's our simple fetch agent and our simple Kubernetes agent. They are running. So we can switch to our UI. and run the UI. Let's refresh this. Let's take a look at our agents. Here's our simple Kubernetes agent. If you open with the pencil here to edit, you'll see that it has what we configured is there. You can see the model, the Sonnet model, the tools that we're going to use, which is get resources and get available API resources. These are the only tools that we want to use here. And yeah, exactly what we specified in the YAML will show up here. So we can go back and start utilizing it. So we can go into simple Kubernetes agent, and here are the tools. So we can see a sneak peek of what we can do. So get available Kubernetes API resources. Let's just copy that, paste it here and send. There we go. You can see the arguments and the results. Okay, all the API resources. And then of course, the model itself will give us a better explanation here if we need it. So you can see here all the core API, apps, API deployments, batch, RBAC, custom resources. So the CRDs we saw from agent, model config, tool, servers, MCP servers, and so on. So that works very nicely. We can check now our second one, the simple fetch agent. And here we can see fetch at the website and returns its content. So let's say get me the KAgent.dev website content, something like that. And let's see here, it's going to go out to KAgent.dev. It's fetching some of the content for us. There we go. I've successfully fetched the contents. KAgent is an open source framework and so on, the key projects, main features, common use cases. So there you go. We've created a nice agent that runs completely offline here in our Kubernetes cluster. You can delete the entire cluster if you're using Kind, but if you're running it in your own cluster, you can go ahead and run KAgent and either go like this and you'll see KAgent uninstall, or from the actual prompt itself, if you're inside the KAgent like this and say help and then say uninstall. And what this is going to do, it's going to uninstall KAgent with all its CRDs, and everything will be gone except for the, so if I run KAgent again, you'll see will be dropped back into the CLI. But if you clear here and you run get CRDs, no CRDs found, and kubectl get all, you'll see that everything is terminating here. So that in a few minutes, everything will be gone. You will still have your KAgent namespace, but everything else will be gone. But of course, if you want to delete the entire Kind cluster, you can go ahead and run Kind delete cluster with the name of the cluster, and that will stop the container and everything will be deleted. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments of this video. If you want to see another video on KAgent, and specifically, I want to explore this in a little bit more detail, creating an agent leveraging documentation. So this is pretty cool where we'll be able to actually create an agent that will go out and get the documentation from any website that you want. And I'll find this very useful when we're looking at different platform engineering tools and we want to feed an LLM with all the markdown that comes back basically from the documentation, instead of you trying to navigate the documentation and copying a few links into your LLM. Thank you, and I'll see you in another video.